Now I've got a neat pattern for you today. It comes to us from Mike Valla, and it is in both of his streamer books. The pattern is called Bornholdt's Golden Squirrel. And Valla met Dave Bornholdt back in 1974 when they were both fisheries students at Cornell. And Dave is retired from the U.S. Geological Service. He and Mike were fishing recently. No doubt this pattern came up, and it's a fly that Mike created and named it for his fishing buddy Dave Bornholdt. And I told Mike I would tie this for the channel since I've never tied a fly of this style. The style I'm talking about is a keel hook. And I understand you used to be able to buy hooks like this. Probably not that easy to find anymore, but they're not really that hard to make with a long shank hook and a pair of needle nose pliers. Now it may be a little more challenging to get a good looking streamer on a hook bent like this, but it has the advantage of riding with the point up, so it's much less likely to snag on the bottom. And I think it's just a pretty cool looking streamer. Definitely a fun one to tie. So there it is in the vise, Bornholdt's Golden Squirrel. Pretty typical, standard looking hairwing, but we're tying it on a keel hook pattern. So this, let's go ahead and pinch this barb. Where did I get these keel hooks, you may be asking? Well, it is a standard Daiichi 2340 with a pair of needle nose pliers taken to it. Just a couple of 30-degree bends up there. And we're gonna catch in our thread. It's a black 70 denier. I'll catch it in somewhere back here toward the back. And first thing we're gonna catch in is a Mylar tinsel. This is a medium, gold on one side, silver on the other. We want the gold showing. I mean, it is a golden squirrel, not a silver squirrel. So we catch it in with the gold side toward the hook, and then just loose open wraps till we get up here to this front bend, a little bit in front of it maybe, and then just go ahead and wrap this up. And you know, like I always say, don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. So if you have a little bit of gaps, a little bit of black showing underneath, don't worry about it. Unless you're making an Instagram fly, which I do not. My flies are for fishing and losing in the trees or the rocks. But this one, how it's tied, should ride upside down, so you shouldn't lose as many of these on the bottom as, say, a typical streamer. But go ahead and wrap it all the way up front and catch it off up here a little bit in front of this bend. Okay, and with Mylar tinsel, sometimes I will fold it back over on itself and put a couple of wraps going back. Just helps secure it a little bit better, I would think. Now we've got a red throat, and the pattern calls for a red soft hackle, red hen, and I didn't have any. I know a lot of you guys might not. So what I did, I just took red strung saddle hackle, which this is a pretty nappy looking feather, and took a couple of tufts of it toward the schlappen, toward the base of it. And I'm just going to catch it in right here. Let's go back just a little bit. And maybe we want them a little bit longer than that bend, but not terribly longer, according to the couple of pictures I've seen of this fly. So we're going to catch it in about right there. And, you know, maybe I could put a little bit more on there than that, but I think we're going to be okay. So this is not a 100% true representation of the Bornholdt Golden Squirrel because I don't have red soft hackle. But, you know, this will give it that hint of red gills. I think we'll be okay. So let's flip it over in our vise after we've got that in. And one thing I might not have mentioned, you definitely want to pinch your barbs on these. With the hook that rides upside down like this, you might hook a lot of fish in the upper part of the top of their mouth. It'd be kind of a mess to just get that out of them if you have a barb on it. So for the wing, just a small to medium tuft of squirrel hair. Put it in your stacker. Or squirrel tail hair, I should have said. Let's see if this stacked okay. I think that's fine right there. I'm going to catch it in just maybe a little bit longer than the bend of the hook, but I do need my thread to go a little farther back because we're going to have a pretty big head on this, especially if you're going to be painting eyes on it. So I think that's the length I want right there. And I'm going to spin my thread clockwise, get it corded up a little bit so maybe I can get a tight bind right here. Just a few tight wraps, and let's see. Okay, is that going to be long enough? Yeah, I think it is. I might like it coming up a little bit more. So I guess I could put a wrap up under that if I needed to, but I think we're going to be fine. So I'm just going to put a few more tight wraps going forward. Don't go too far forward. So we can cut it off at a little bit of an angle here and then build a big bullet head. So if you notice, I've got quite a bit of room up here behind the eye. I'm going to spend a few wraps here to build a pretty good sized head so that we can paint some white eyes on it. Okay, I think that's going to be big enough. Now I've heard of some tyers who will paint eyes on their heads before they put a UV resin or a clear lacquer on it. I usually don't. This is my UV resin. I'm going to just put this on it and it will give me a bigger head right there. So how I do this, this is the little lid or the stopper that goes into that bottle. I'll just move it around right here, and then the cool thing about a fast spinning rotary vise like this Regal, you can spin it pretty quickly while you put your light on it. And after you get it pretty dry, I just have some Testors model paint, a little toothpick that I snipped off, so I've got a small little, round end to it. I'll just touch it to it, dab it in there, and then take a black Sharpie for the pupil. Pretty simple. I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about that, but if you want eyes, it's pretty simple to do. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks for sticking around. And I've got a treat for one of you viewers from the US. Mike sent me a copy of Tying and Fishing Bucktails, and y'all know I love this book. I reviewed it a couple years ago. I think I've given out 6 copies of it since I reviewed it. So let's give this one out. How this works, just leave a comment, anywhere in the comment, mention Dave, D-A-V-E. In a couple of days, I'll go to the random comment picker, pick a winner, get this in the mail to you. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Take care. See you in a couple of days.